I'm Erica. Standing in my living room, the air thick with tension, I can still hear the echoes of the argument that just took place. My family, once a source of love and support, had turned into a group of strangers, demanding and entitled. It all started with a simple text message, but it quickly spiraled into a full-blown confrontation that would change my life forever. I grew up in a small town, the middle child of a large family. My parents, Robert and Linda, were hard-working people, but they had a tendency to play favorites. My older brother, Jake, was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. My younger sister, Ava, was the baby of the family, the one who was always coddled and spoiled. And then there was me, the one who was always expected to be the responsible one, the one who always put everyone else's needs before my own. I worked 2 jobs to make ends meet, but I never complained. I was happy to help my family, to be there for them when they needed me. But as the years went by, I started to realize that my family was taking advantage of me. They would ask me for money, for favors, for help, and I would always say yes. I never thought to say no, because I didn't want to disappoint them. But then, one day, everything changed. It was a sunny afternoon, and I was sitting at my desk, working on a project. My phone buzzed, and I saw that I had a new message from my mom. It was a group text, with pictures of a beautiful beach resort in Hawaii. My mom had written, "Erica, we're going to Hawaii. You can come if you pay your own way." I was shocked. I had never been on a vacation like this before, and I had always dreamed of going to Hawaii. But I also knew that I couldn't afford it. I had been saving up for a down payment on a house, and I didn't have enough money to pay for a trip to Hawaii. I took a deep breath and typed back, "No, thanks. Have fun." I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. The next morning, my phone started buzzing with transaction alerts. Flights, hotel rooms, rental cars, and activities. Thousands of dollars were being charged to my credit card, without my permission. I was furious. I called my mom, but she didn't answer. I called my dad, but he didn't answer either. I called my brother and sister, but they both said that they didn't know anything about it. I was alone, and I didn't know what to do. I opened my banking app and saw that all of the charges were from the same travel agency. I called the agency and explained what had happened. They said that they would cancel the reservations and refund my money, but it would take a few days. I was relieved, but I was also angry. I couldn't believe that my family would do this to me. They had betrayed my trust, and they had taken advantage of me. I decided that I was done being the responsible one, the one who always put everyone else's needs before my own. I was going to stand up for myself, and I was going to say no. A few hours later, there was a knock on my door. I opened the door and saw my family standing there, looking angry and upset. My mom was the first to speak. "Erica, what did you do? You canceled our trip to Hawaii." I took a deep breath and said, "I canceled the trip because you charged it to my credit card without my permission." "That's theft, Mom." My mom's eyes widened. "Theft? We're family, Erica. Families help each other." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "Funny. You only remember that when it's time to use me." My dad stepped forward and said, "Erica, we thought you'd agree once you calmed down. We were trying to help your sister. She's been going through a tough time, and she needs a break." I looked at my dad and said, "Help her? Or reward her? Ava does nothing, and you reward her with a luxury vacation on my card." Ava stepped forward and said, "Erica, you're being selfish. I need this trip. I need to get away from everything." I looked at Ava and said, "You're right. You need a break. From me. From my money. From my life." Ava's eyes filled with tears. "Erica, you're breaking my heart." I looked at Ava and said, "I'm sorry, Ava. But I can't keep doing this. I can't keep giving you everything you want, and I can't keep ignoring my own needs." My mom stepped forward and said, "Erica, you're being ungrateful. We've done so much for you." I looked at my mom and said, "Ungrateful? You charged me without permission. That's theft, Mom." My brother stepped forward and said, "Erica, you're tearing this family apart." I looked at my brother and said, "No, I'm just refusing to let you keep tearing me apart." The room fell silent. My family stared at me, shocked and angry. I stared back at them, determined and unafraid. For the first time in my life, I was standing up for myself, and I wasn't going to back down. My dad took a deep breath and said, "Erica, let's be reasonable. These things are expensive. We couldn't book last minute. We needed your card." I looked at my dad and said, "You needed my card. Not asked for it. Not discussed it. Stole it." My mom stepped forward and said, "Erica, don't you feel even a little bad? We had to stand at the gate like criminals." I looked at my mom and said, "Good. Because you were acting like criminals." My brother slammed his fist on the table. "Erica, you're being ridiculous. You're ruining everything." I looked at my brother and said, "No, I'm not. I'm finally taking control of my life. I'm finally saying no." My sister started to cry. "Erica, please. Don't do this. We're family." I looked at my sister and said, "I love you, Ava. But I can't keep doing this. I need to take care of myself." My mom stepped forward and said, "Erica, you're making a big mistake. You're going to regret this." I looked at my mom and said, "No, I'm not. I'm finally free." My family stared at me, shocked and angry. I stared back at them, determined and unafraid. For the first time in my life, I was standing up for myself, and I wasn't going to back down. I took a deep breath and said, "Get out of my house. All of you." My family stared at me, shocked and angry. I stared back at them, determined and unafraid. For the first time in my life, I was standing up for myself, and I wasn't going to back down. Slowly, one by one, my family started to leave. My mom glared at me, my dad shook his head, my brother slammed the door, and my sister sobbed as she walked out. I stood there, watching them go, feeling a sense of relief and freedom. A few minutes later, there was a knock on my door. I opened the door and saw my neighbor, Mr. Thompson, standing there. He looked at me and said, "Are you okay, Erica?" I looked at Mr. Thompson and said, "Yeah, I'm okay. Thanks." Mr. Thompson smiled and said, "You did the right thing, Erica. Sometimes, you have to stand up for yourself." I looked at Mr. Thompson and said, "Thanks, Mr. Thompson. I needed to hear that." Mr. Thompson nodded and said, "If you need anything, just let me know." I looked at Mr. Thompson and said, "I will. Thanks." Mr. Thompson smiled and said, "Good. Take care of yourself, Erica." I watched as Mr. Thompson walked away, feeling a sense of gratitude and hope. For the first time in my life, I was standing up for myself, and I wasn't going to back down. I was finally free. That night, I lay in bed, thinking about what had happened. I felt a sense of sadness and loss, but I also felt a sense of relief and freedom. I knew that it would take time to heal, but I was ready to start a new chapter in my life. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of birds chirping. I opened my eyes and saw the sunlight streaming through the window. I sat up in bed, feeling a sense of peace and calm. I knew that everything was going to be okay. I got out of bed and walked into the kitchen. I made myself a cup of coffee and sat down at the table. I looked out the window and saw the beautiful view of the ocean. I took a deep breath and smiled. I was finally free. As I sat there, sipping my coffee, I thought about my family. I knew that they would never understand why I had done what I had done, but I didn't care. I had to do what was right for me, and I had to take control of my life. I picked up my phone and saw that I had a new message from my sister. It said, "Erica, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I love you." I smiled and typed back, "I love you too, Ava. But we need to talk. We need to set some boundaries." I hit send and put my phone down. I knew that it would take time to repair the relationship with my family, but I was willing to try. I was finally free, and I was ready to start a new chapter in my life.